we seem to be getting better every game at the errors, and we seem to be getting better at scoring goals and creating chances. So it's literally the definition that we've all been saying. It's the click, it's the gel, it's the, getting the momentum as a team, isn't it? That seems to be getting there now. Every single week we seem to be getting better. And we said in the post, rather than match dad, one thing for me, it wasn't the goals scored, it was the control. We completely controlled that game. I never felt for 1 minute that Rotherham were going to get back into that game. And as a Blues fan, that is a completely odd experience.
It really is. So welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue. And this weekend, Birmingham City continue their EFL League One campaign when we take on Peterborough United at St.Andrews at KnightheadPark. Of course, we're going to see, hopefully, Barry Fry back at St.Andrews, a big favourite with Blues fans, and hope that at the end of the match that we've got another 3 points and continue with that fantastic start we've made to the season. In this podcast, myself and Matt are going to do our usual preview of the game, give you some of our thoughts about the players and formations and all those types of things. And so I'm just going to go straight over to Matt, really. So what's your thoughts on Peterborough, Matt?
Well, another home game, another sellout. Absolutely incredible. Our support this season at home has been fantastic.
Yeah, it really has, hasn't it?
And it's proven when we do pack the place out, we tend to win. So really, buzzing to get down there and experience that full crowd. And, it's like when you're younger, you have Christmas and Christmas Eve, you get excited. For me, like now I'm in my 30s and I've got kids myself, my excitement is, when we pack out St Andrews and we've got a good game to look forward to. That's like my new version of it. Yeah. But this should be a good game. I think a slightly different challenge for Blues this weekend because, we've been getting caught up in quite physical battles, whereas Peterborough are a bit more of a faster team. They're well renowned for their counter-attack and their speed. Yeah. And they can catch you out with that. So I think it'll be a slightly different test for Blues this weekend. But, we're going into this full of momentum. 5 league wins on the bounce, which is absolutely incredible. We sit joint top with a game in hand over Wrexham. Yeah. And Peterborough, I was on social media earlier, Dad, and their fans were a little bit disgruntled. They're not massively happy, right? But yesterday they were 2-1 up. They were third with that. They are in 8th because they got a draw from that game in the end. But, Peterborough, it's going to be a difficult game. As I said, slightly different challenge for Blues, but I'm looking forward to it nonetheless.
Yeah, I think that I sort of saw snippets about that game, done a bit of research, and I think that Peterborough felt that they were actually lucky to get away with the draw there.
They were.
In fact, actually, let me read you something from the Peterborough Telegraph. I thought this was interesting. When we're researching for this podcast, I always get to really like to gauge what the fans are really thinking about their team. And the Peterborough Telegraph is the equivalent of our Birmingham Live, our Birmingham Mail. So they're the main sort of journal or newspaper for them. Mm-hmm. This is what the headline was. Somehow, Peterborough United left East London with a point on Tuesday. This was obviously yesterday. And briefly it says, on the surface, it's not a bad draw at home to an Orient team who have hit some form recently and were seeking a hat-trick of League One wins. But the performance was a huge concern. Any watching Birmingham City spies will be licking their lips taking on a side struggling defensively, and who couldn't string 3 passes together when they didn't get the ball off the aggression of the opponents on Saturday. So they're referring back to the Bristol Rovers game as well that they had on the Saturday as well. So actually, they did get the point, but it's clear that the people reporting on that felt that they were quite lucky to get the draw.
I watched the Peterborough Orient game, and for 75 minutes, Orient absolutely were going at them, creating chances. And Peterborough had 15 minutes where they scored their 2 goals, where they, don't get me wrong, they had some really nice passages of play. They had a penalty. The first goal was good as well. So they did score 2 good goals. Everyone knows one of Peterborough's biggest assets is their speed on the counter, and they proved that against Orient. However, I completely agree with that report. Over the course of 90 minutes, they were only in it for about 15 minutes. Orient completely dominated, in my opinion. So, they are a team who, to me, and the fans I've been reading agree with this as well, they seem a bit disjointed.
Yeah.
They've got a few talented players in the team, but the tactics aren't quite there. Darren Ferguson's their manager. A lot of the fans are saying, why doesn't he mix it up a bit? Why doesn't he go for a bit of a change? And their last 2 games had 2-2 and 3-2. That just screams disjointed, scoring goals but also conceding. Yeah. So they have got it in the bag to catch you on the break and be quick and score goals, but there are shambles at the back as well. So lots of problems all over the pitch for Peterborough at the moment.
I think it's a bit of a problem for them as well, because based upon what you've just said, they're not really going to know how to handle us, because they know that they can score goals going forward, but they also know with a team like us, if they leave themselves vulnerable at the back, which they will, we're gonna punish them. It's interesting what you said about their games because they've had a really strange start to the season. In fact, actually, they've only lost twice this season. They've lost home on both times, but the teams they've lost to are Huddersfield and Wrexham.
Yeah.
So and that's the only losses that they've had. They've had wins away at Shrewsbury and away at Exeter. And draws at home to Lincoln, and obviously the one last night against Leyton Orient. So it's a really inconsistent thing. But when you look at that, their start to the season's actually not that bad overall. And the two teams that they lost to, a lot of teams are going to lose to those two teams.
Yeah.
This season, so they're not a bad team, are they? So they're good on the road as well. So they haven't lost yet.
Yeah.
They've won 2 and drawn 1, and they score plenty of goals, but they are coming up against us, aren't they? And we're in red hot form. We've been playing really, really good football as well. So I think they might find this a bit of a challenge.
I think the more teams come at us, the more dangerous we are because it opens up gaps, don't it? We haven't struggled. We've still broke teams down, but Blues have had signs this season where, when teams come and park the bus or they're very defensive, especially in the first couple of the games of the season where we were gelling, we couldn't quite have that click in the final third.
Yeah.
That's more there now. So if Peterborough really do come at us, that we could really exploit them at the back because that is their biggest vulnerability, definitely. And a few things I noticed against Orient, Dad, they were really sloppy passing. I think your article just said they could barely string 3 or 4 passes together.
Yeah.
And the highlight to me is they had a corner and they tried to do this 1-2 from the corner and they just lost it immediately. It just something isn't there at the moment with their ideas. Something isn't there with their passing and their build-up of play. But make no doubt about it, when they switch it on and they go and they're fast, they've got 2 players in particular, Dad, who I noticed last night. That's Poku and Mothersill. I mean, everyone knows about Poku. He's a dangerous player. He's scored quite a few goals over the seasons. And Mothersill as well. He's really dangerous coming in from that left-hand side. Lots of pace there. So make no doubt about it. If you take this team for granted or you underestimate, they will catch you on the break and they're very fast at doing that. But no doubt about it, their defensive woes and the way they're set up at the back screams goals for Birmingham in this game.
I think as well, Matt, when you come to St Andrews, when it's sold out, you can do one of 2 things, can't you? This is the opponent. You can either do what most teams have tried. They have a go at us for the first 10 or 15 minutes and really have a go at us for the first 10 or 15 minutes, or you can just shrink and you'll end up getting absolutely hammered. So I think what I expect from Peterborough is that they will come at us for 10 to 15 minutes really strongly. That's what Wigan tried that. Reading definitely done that as well. And even Wrexham, they were good for the first 15, 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. So teams tend to do that and think, well, actually, if we're going to have any chance of scoring against Birmingham City, before we get them, they get a chance to get their rhythm, we need to try and catch them early. So I think that's what's probably going to happen here. They're going to come at us. They have got some strengths as well, as a team. You mentioned the pace. They have got pace. Which is fine, but if we keep the ball off them, then that's not going to be a problem for us. So if we can keep our possession, then that'll be actually okay. They do, like long shots, counter-attacks, because I think any team with pace always has the possibility of a counter-attack. And so we'll have to watch that. But, we've been good defensively as well for the last, that clean sheet, wasn't it, against Rotherham for the first time as well. But their weaknesses is avoiding fouling in dangerous areas. Defending against attacks down the wings. Now we're going to exploit that. I mean that's something we've got to look at. So my research tells me that they concede a lot of goals when other teams get down the wings, and they have conceded as many as they've scored. They've conceded a lot. I think they've only got a goal difference of +1.
I believe the 2 goals they conceded against Bristol City came down the left-hand side in the box.
Bristol City, was that
Bristol Rovers, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
So they played Bristol Rovers at the weekend before the Leyton Orient game. Yeah. They went 3-0 up and they conceded 2 goals in the second half. Both of Bristol Rovers' goals came down that left-hand side into the box. So I think Chris Davis might notice that and say, let's go down the wings, let's try and get some balls in the box. And I'm going to we don't normally do massive predictions, Dad. I know you've said on a couple, Blues won't keep a clean sheet. You've made a couple of predictions. I think Awata or Paik are going to score in this game because, again, when you look at the amount of space they give the midfielders on the edge of the box, and we're starting to shoot now. We're finding the back of the net from that 20, 25 yard range. I've got a feeling Paik or Awata is going to get on the score sheet because, again, when you look at Peterborough, look at the amount of space they allow some of the midfield, we could get quite a few shots off this weekend. I'm going to call it, I think one of them are going to score. Yeah,
and there's every reason to suggest that they would on their form. And also with playing Peterborough as well, if we can press them like we've been pressing other teams, if they are quite nervous at the back or vulnerable because obviously, what happened in the game in midweek, then potentially we're going to create a lot more chances as well for our team as well. But just to go through a few arrivals, because like all teams, they've had quite a change around of playing staff. They in the summer they bought Rio Adibisi from Crewe, and they paid £600,000 for him. He's a left back.
Yeah.
They bought Gustav Lindgren from a team called Degerfors in Sweden, centre forward, and they paid nearly £600,000 for him, according to my research. And also Chris Clark, an attacking midfielder they bought from Old Tringham, but I believe he's out now for 6 weeks. I think he's got something wrong with his collarbone or something like that.
Yeah.
Paid $415,000 for him. And there's a few other players that they've brought in, but look who they've lost because departures that obviously people that have gone.
Burrows is the big one, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely. They've lost Harrison Burrows. He went to Sheffield United for $3.55 million.
That's a big transfer for a League One team, $3.5 million.
Yeah, Ronnie Edwards as well.
Yeah.
I think he was on the books of Manchester United as a young player. He went to Southampton for $3.5
He's a good
million.
player,
Yeah. Josh Knight went to Hanover in Germany on a free transfer. Johnson Clark Harris, as we know, we saw him last week, and he wasn't very good actually, was he, for Rotherham? But he went on a free transfer. Jadon Fuchs, he went on a free transfer. Basically, like all teams, they've lost some decent players, and they've lost a lot of firepower there as well, because some of the lone players scored a lot of goals last season for them. So last season, Ephron Mason Clark was their top scorer with 19 goals. He's not there anymore.
It's a lot of goals, isn't it?
Yeah. Johnson Clark Harris scored 13. He's not there anymore.
Yeah.
Harrison Burrows scored 12. He's not there anymore. But it seems that this season they've replaced those because they're still scoring lots of goals. And as you mentioned, Kwame Poku. He's already got 5.
He's a great player.
He's already got 5.
Tell you what, there's something in the water at Peterborough, isn't there? Like Ivan Toney come through the Peterborough. I remember Jimmy Bullard. Remember back in the day, he came through Peterborough. So they've got a really good sort of academy system, or they have a good scouting system where they bring players in and sell them on for big money. I mean, look at those Burrows there for $3.5 million.
But that's how
really
clubs,
well-run club, isn't it?
Yeah, that's how clubs at Peterborough's financial level have to manage their finances.
Yeah.
And I've person behind that a lot has been Barry Fry.
Yeah.
So they've obviously identified good young talent, and they bring them on and they sell them off for big fees. Basically, they are going to be a dangerous team. But the way we're playing at the moment, if we play like we did against Rotherham, we'll win this game.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Without a doubt, if we play like that and the levels we had after the first 15, 20 minutes against Wrexham, doesn't matter what they do, we will beat them. And it's really weird, being as a Birmingham City supporter, to be able to have that confidence that it doesn't really matter what the opposition do. If we play to our levels, they won't be able to touch us no matter what they do. It's just that, we've always said in the past, haven't we, before the start of this season, it's like, common themes were cut out those silly mistakes, give me a bit more passion.
Yeah, shoot more.
But all that's already there now, isn't it? We can't argue about the passion and commitment to the team.
Absolutely.
We are still making the odd little error, but I mean, that takes time for all the players to get this chemistry, doesn't it?
In comparison to the first 3 games, though, those errors have gone down pretty significantly, I would say. We seem to be getting better every game at the errors, and we seem to be getting better at scoring goals and creating chances. So it's literally the definition that we've all been saying. It's the click, it's the gel, it's the getting the momentum as a team, isn't it? That seems to be getting there now. Every single week we seem to be getting better. And we said in the post-Rotherham match, Dad, one thing for me, it wasn't the goals scored, it was the control. We completely controlled that game. I never felt for 1 minute that Rotherham were going to get back into that game. And as a Blues fan, that is a completely odd experience.
It really is.
So just 2 final things for me on Peterborough, and we'll come on to the Blues team, Dad. One, it is Poku. So he's definitely their danger man. And if you look at a lot of the goals they score, I don't want to put him in the same category as Stansfield, because I feel like Stansfield's a much better player, but he makes those kind of clever runs in at the back. And we have spoke before about Bielek and Clara, phenomenal players, but a little bit lacking in pace there. However, they'll make up for that in intelligence.
But Poku plays mainly on their left wing, doesn't he? So he'll be up against Gardner Hickman.
But that's the big thing. Whenever you look at a lot of Peterborough's goals, it's him making those clever runs and then the midfield playing him in. They like to do that a lot at Peterborough.
Yeah, but so, if they don't get the ball,
of course not. It's just a observation of where their strong skill sets are. Yeah. And where they're lacking at the minute is a bit like Blues last season, Dad. A bit of leadership, a bit of grit, a bit of we spoke so many times last season about having a leader in the middle. We've referenced from our club history your Stephen Carrs and your Barry Ferguson, so those types. I feel like Peterborough are missing that kind of leadership in that passion and that spirit, and I think a lot of Peterborough fans have recognised that as well. So should be a good game, but that's I think a lot of positives and negatives from the Peterborough game. Unless there's anything else, should we crack on with the Blues side of the game?
Yeah, let's go on to the Blues. As I say, we go through what we normally do. As you know, people who watch our pre-match video previews for games know that we'll go through and we'll discuss what we think the starting lineup will be for Birmingham City. So let's do that then, starting at the back with the goalkeeper.
Bailey Peacock-Farrell for consistency, I believe.
He's clearly Chris Davies' first choice, isn't he, now in the league? We wondered, didn't we, when Allsop was starting as number 2, whether at some point they'd transition, but it does appear that he is the nailed on number 1.
Yeah.
So I think that it's going to take either an injury or suspension or a really bad run of form for Allsop to get in. But yeah, I agree. I think it'd be Bailey Peacock-Farrell.
Yeah.
Okay, right back.
Gardner-Hickman.
Done well, hasn't he?
He's done fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think that we made a special point on the Rotherham Post video about Cochrane and Gardner-Hickman. And we said when Buchanan's back and when Laird's back, they've got a hell of a job to get their position back because those two have been truly outstanding.
I must admit, when he was first played in that position, I can't remember which game it was. He started, we raised a few.
The Walsall game?
No, I'm talking about the first league game. I think he was tried against Walsall, actually.
It was, yeah.
But when he started in the league and we've still got Samstead available, you're thinking, well, Samstead is a natural right back. But he's done really, really well. And he gets involved, doesn't he? Just like Laird does. He gets involved in.
But I actually think he's got a better delivery than Laird. I think he gets more balls into the box. Over the course of a season, if you play Laird and Gardner-Hickman, I think Gardner-Hickman will come out with a significant more goal contributions.
And like all the players as well, he's super fit. He's up and down the pitch all the time, isn't he?
I like his aggression as well. He absolutely went through that Wrexham Irish. I always forget his name.
James McLean.
James McLean. He absolutely cleaned him out. I mean,
so did Lyndon Dykes.
Yeah, exactly. But
Lyndon Dykes cleans everybody out.
He's a battering ram, isn't he? But I like players that aren't scared to go through players and put a foot in and get stuck in, especially against someone like McLean, who would be seen as intimidating. He wasn't scared.
He's done well because when we were making all those signings, he was one of the lower, with respect to him, the lower profile players. But he's really sort of made his mark, hasn't he? So fair play. Let's go over to the other side then and do left back.
Cochrane every day of the week. Outstanding.
I understand that Buchanan's back in training now.
Yes, that's good to hear.
So he's going to be available very, very soon. So
I mean, that's good to hear just for competition of spaces, isn't it? Yeah. So fair enough. I think a lot of Blues fans would agree that Cochrane has deserved and earned that place at left back. He is outstanding. But the fact that Buchanan's back and going to give him a challenge now,
and the other way around,
can only mean a good thing for both players.
Yeah, because now that if Buchanan does get back, he's going to have to be outstanding to keep his place.
Exactly.
So that's really good as well. So then we come to our centre halves.
Bielek and Clara.
I say that as well, and I don't think Ben Davies did anything wrong against Rotherham, but it is going to mean Bielek's the captain, so he's going to come back. And Clara, I mean, my word,
can't replace Clara.
He's just immense, and what a player, what a signing he's. But so I think we agree on
I want Bielek and Clara to start because I think they're both outstanding.
Yeah, I think that'll happen as well.
So 2 centre mids again. I think Iwata and Paik.
Oh, my word, yeah. Again, it's just amazing. The partnership is so good.
It's incredible.
I've read somewhere as well that somebody wrote, and it was I can't remember who it was. It was in some newspaper that they are the best central midfield partnership, apart from Barnsley, outside of the Premier League.
Yeah. That was the Birmingham Live guys, I think.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
They might be slightly biased.
So what they were saying was that it's our best centre midfielder since we were back in the Premier League.
Okay.
Is what they were saying.
But however you measure them, they are very, 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 very good. So I think we agree that it's got to be them. I do feel sorry for Mark Leonard. We won't go into that because we always say that, don't we? But
again, though, he's got to earn his place back.
Yeah.
And me and you are big Mark Leonard fans, Dad. Iwata and Paik deserve those 2 positions. They have been truly outstanding. I mean, the goals Iwata scoring, you can't take him out. Because I feel like Paik is the bang-on player every time in the midfield, and I feel like Iwata and Leonard are the 2 competing for that secondary. So, in my opinion, I could be wrong on that. Feel free, Blues fans, to challenge that. I don't know, but I think Paik is like the Rolls Royce, has to play every game, and then Iwata and Leonard are challenging for that second centre mid position.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
So you take us along the attacking mids then, Dad. What are your thoughts?
Okay, well, we'll go left.
Yep.
Left is going to be Hansen.
Yep.
And he's improving as well. He was good against Rotherham. Made some good inroads. He got into good positions. But nice to see him score a goal now, just to put a bit of a cherry on his performance. I think he needs that now.
He's getting close. He's doing some shots from outside the box. He just isn't quite getting the bend on it to get it over the keeper.
But you can tell he's a good player. He's a very good player. So I think it'll be Hansen on the left.
To be fair, I think we passed over Hansen a little bit too quickly in the Rotherham post-match video. I think he had a very good game against Rotherham, and we did mention it, but actually, off the back of the start of the season, I know Blues fans have been a little bit underwhelmed. You are right. He seems to be now hopefully moving strength to strength with every game, don't he?
And he seems to be, again, Chris Davies' his first choice there as well. Obviously, Yokoyama is young, and I'm sure we'll see him coming on at some point in the season as a sub. But I think it's going to be Hansen. Okay, so that leaves us over to the right then, so you can start with that. Yeah,
so Chris Davies has started with Williamson on the right for the past 2 games. I think Williamson had an outstanding game against Rotherham. No need to change it. I can see Williamson starting on the right.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think he seems to have made that position his own now. Although we have got Keshi Anderson now back fit and available, but I think Williamson has done enough to stay there because I'm a big fan of Keshi Anderson.
We all are,
and I'm happy obviously if he comes on as a sub. But I think Williamson's getting better and better every game. I got to be, if I'm really honest, I wasn't overly convinced in the first couple of games with Williamson. He looked a little bit clunky, but actually he's shown what a quality player he is because he's really sort of had some really good games since then.
Yeah.
He's created assists. That assist for Stansfield was fantastic, wasn't it?
I've watched it about 100 times. It really was special, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I think we agree that he'll be on the right-hand side.
I think so.
Then the number 10, do you want me to start with that?
You go
Okay.
for number 10.
Well, I didn't realise this when we was at Rotherham. We sort of, like Lyndon Dykes is starting. But I subsequently found out, lots of people have told me that actually Alfie may had a virus or something, so he wasn't 100% fit.
I heard he has poorly in the morning.
Yeah, so we thought it was tactical, which would have made sense against Rotherham, actually, wouldn't it, as well? Having Lyndon Dykes to come on as a, it's mad, isn't it, as a replacement?
It really is.
I think he'll go back to May again.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important as well because May in the number 10 slot was excellent against Wrexham. He pulled them all over the place. If he does that against Rotherham, and obviously he's important for the press as well because he just buzzes around, doesn't he? Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that. Well, if I was Chris Davis, I'd put May back in the number 10.
With how flaky Peterborough can be at the back as well, he has the potential to pull them left, right, and centre and just create gaps all game. So I completely agree that Alfie May in the number 10. And that brings us on to number top, which I don't think we need to discuss at this point, but we'll say it anyway. We'll go for Stansfield.
It's got to be Stansfield. 3-2.
Yeah.
And he's just flying, isn't he? And so I think that's the team that we think will be there. But good to get your comments below, Blues fans, and what you think will be the starting lineup.
Also, as well, I noticed at the Rotherham game there was a new Jay Stansfield chant. It was from the Shakira song. I know the Arsenal fans sung it for one of their players, and we brought it for the Stansfield. And I was listening to it going, what are they actually saying? And then I got home on social media and then I read it and I was like, that's what they were saying.
Let the viewers have it then.
You do not want to hear that.
Well, we'll just talk the words so that people know what you're talking about.
So it starts off with the Shakira song, Waka Waka, and then it goes 15 million down the drain.
Oh, yeah. Jay Stansfield scores again.
Scores again. That's the one. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
So that is a new chant. If you do hear that at the game on Saturday, that is what we were singing at Rotherham away. So and it's good because before it was Stano, Stano, Stano. So at least we've got him his own little chant going now. So that was nice.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. So any other final comments for the Peterborough game?
I think we've covered it all. I think, as I said, this is a different type of test, which I think is going to be really interesting. If they come at us, I think it's going to open up gaps and we could end up scoring quite a few goals. We have give our predictions in the previous video. If you've seen that, if you haven't, let's just reiterate it, Dad.
Yeah, so I've gone for Birmingham 3, Peterborough 1.
I've gone for Birmingham City 4, Peterborough 1, and that's quite wild for me. I'm normally quite conservative, but I've just got a feeling we're going to open some real gaps this weekend.
Yeah, I'd love to see us keep a clean sheet, build on the clean sheet from Rotherham because that's our first one in the league this season. Yeah. But you always feel that with the way we play, that we particularly with a fast-pacey team, that you are vulnerable to conceding the odd goal even there. So I'm still not overly confident to concede clean sheet. That's why I've gone for 3-1. You've gone for 4-1.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's what we think, Birmingham City supporters, and we'd love to know your comments. So pop a comment below and let us know what your thoughts are on the game. Give us your score predictions. If you've stumbled across this as a Peterborough United fan, then you're more than welcome to put your comments below as well. Let us know what you think about your team and your chances in the game. Always happy to hear comments and opinions from fans from other teams. If you did like this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't looked at our social media channels before, then pop along to our X page and our Instagram page. And we're also on Spotify now. So if you like to watch or hear your podcast on Spotify, you can pop along there and listen to it in that format. And all of the handles for these will appear on the screen right now. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any future content all about Birmingham City. And myself and Matt will see you on the next video.